Recording.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our January 13th meeting of Parks and Recreation Commission. I appreciate everybody being here. We'll start off by doing a roll call. I am here, and Commissioner Kerr. Here. Commissioner Frazier. Yes. Commissioner Frazier. Yes, he's here. Okay, Commissioner Layden or McLeod.
Here.
Thank you. I do not see Commissioner Martin on there, but I do. How about Commissioner Christensen
I'm here.
and Commissioner Stackhouse? See him later. And do we have Commissioner or Councilmember Harris on board?
No, Councilmember Harris's term is complete.
Okay,
But unfortunately, our title bar didn't update in time because the day we posted it was the day that new council member liaisons were assigned at commission or at council that night. Or
Okay.
commission liaisons. Our new council member liaison will be Councilmember Anthony Garcia. He's unable to attend today. He's got a dual booking, but we can expect him in the future.
forward to meeting him. Very good. Well, we have quorum, so we'll move on and do the land acknowledgement. So the Flagstaff Parks and Recreation Commission humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Then the next item is approval of minutes. So hopefully you've had a chance, commissioners, to look at the past minutes from our, that was November meeting. So if you have anything to comment on at this time, please do so. If not, we can make a motion. Someone can make a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion too.
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Kerr. Do we have a second?
I second.
Very good, thank you. So at this point, we can move to approve those minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looks like,
We need to hear from the other.
yeah, everybody needs to weigh in.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Commissioner Frazier.
Yes, he can.
Okay, thank you. So those minutes are approved. Thank you very much. All right, on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is for items that are not on the agenda. The commission cannot act on these items presented during the public participation of the agenda. The commission is prohibited by the open meeting law from discussing or considering the item until the item is officially placed on an agenda. If there are any public comments at this point, please limit those comments to 5 minutes. I'm sure I don't see anyone from the public on there. No, we do not have any public comments at this time. Very good. On to our first discussion item, a vote for chair and co-chair for 2025. You can open that up. Anyone wants to, I'm happy to continue as chair if everybody wants that, if you think I'm doing a good job. If not, then I'm happy to pass the buck. So, yeah. So how do we move forward with that then?
You need some discussion from your fellow commissioners. Please chime in.
Other commissioners, you want to chime in on this and either throw
No,
your
I
hat?
think you're doing a great job. I vote for you. Yeah.
Thanks, Neil. Anybody else?
Yeah, if you wanna keep doing it, great. If you don't, I'll take it. But if you're like, I'm fine keeping with where we're at.
That's fine. And you want to continue as co-chair then?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to weigh in on either myself or Commissioner Kerr as co-chair, or are you happy with that? Or does anyone else want to throw their hat in the ring?
No, I'm fine. Nothing from you.
Commissioner Christensen?
I think that you guys are doing fabulous, and I'm happy to support you continuing in your individual roles.
Thank you. Commissioner McLeod?
Yep, yeah, I second or third or fourth or whatever this is at this point.
No, we haven't put a motion forward yet. So we have a motion. Do I do both at the same time or?
Someone needs to make a motion.
Yeah.
and do one or both at the same time.
Yeah,
I'll make the motion
for,
for Commissioner Parsons as chair and Commissioner Kerr as co-chair.
do we have others who'd like to second that motion?
Second.
Nice.
Okay, all in favor of myself being the chair and Commissioner Kerr continuing as co-chair, I'll say aye.
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 Was that the second?
I think it was Commissioner McLeod.
Razor. That's what I got.
It was.
You-
Was it Brady? Yeah, okay.
I
Commissioner-
say aye, yeah. Sorry, guys.
Very good. So we'll continue as chair and co-chair. Very good. That was easy. All right, probably on to Amy. Item number B, courtesy snow burn relocation and snow heroes information presentation.
Sure.
Did we do that in October to some extent?
We maybe
Or
talked
November,
about like a get ready kind of thing. So this, Gino Leone, our parks manager, and Stephen Thompson, our sustainability manager at the city, did this presentation last week for city council. So we thought it's always a good idea to make sure that we educate both groups on this. So it's the Courtesy Berm Relocation Program, which is a PROS program. And it's the Snow Hero program, which is a sustainability program. This will be season 2 of that. So I'll go through the presentation that occurred last Tuesday and let me know if there are any questions, and I could share Councilmember Garcia's question that night, especially since he will be our commission liaison. So 2 separate programs, but first we'll hit up the Courtesy Berm Relocation Program overview. So just to refresh for commissioners, that is a program that PROS staff does. So once the roadways are cleared of snow or have been plowed of snow, it creates that lovely berm at the end of a driveway. So for approved applications or approved residences within city limits, that is where the PROS team, and if the individual or residents has met all the criteria, it's very similar to getting a motor vehicle placard for accessible parking. Met all the criteria, you're an approved individual or resident or household to have this berm relocated. And it is a relocation. It's not hauled away. So it's pushed somehow to either sides. And all that we can do is work in the right of way. We cannot go on the individual's private property and do any work in their driveway or on their sidewalk. So it's just the berm created there at the end of the driveway. And so it takes a high level of communication to make this happen, and especially with Public Works, since they're plowing the roadway. And then our team comes in and does this portion. So here's the application that's on the left of the screen. That's available on the city's website. It is a fillable PDF, as well as some of the criteria, whether if permanent or temporary, because we have had individuals that maybe have had a significant surgery or similar event, that would be a temporary example, or permanent would be permanent example. Again, it's residences within city limits. So within the city of Flagstaff, we have had residences call or applications come in for folks that live in Doney Park or Kachina Village or Mountain Air. And unfortunately, those are in no, because not within city limits. The application is certified by medical staff and there's I think a half dozen bullet points there. Anyone can go to the form on the website or zoom in. I think a couple of them to highlight are if you're an individual that's unable to walk 200 feet without stopping to rest. That would probably be the most vague criteria to meet on this, where some of the other ones, a little more specific. If an individual with like a brace, a cane, a crutch, wheelchair, or other prosthetic or an assistance device. Some items regarding longer respiratory needs, arthritis, cardiac conditions, you name it. So that's the application process. That's available year-round to apply for it. And that eligibility criteria.
Is there a deadline for that prior?
There's no deadline.
Okay.
No deadline at all. So again, available year round. Because something could occur to an individual that creates this, so we didn't want to be in a deadline area, but great question. And then how do we manage this process? So each August, the pros team contacts all current courtesy burn relocation households from the season that just ended. Because a lot of changes happen. People move, people relocate, people pass on, you name it. And so each August, reach out to get to start to prepare for this upcoming season, although it hasn't snowed yet. It's really, kind of scary. So August seems kind of bizarre, but that is when we start preparing for this. And then each October, that list is managed based on these contacts. So it's phone calls, it's emails, we've done postcards before, it's connections to that household to try to figure out, do you need to, especially for the permanent residents, are you still interested in this program? Temporary residents are removed at the end of a season based on that duration. Rarely would that, I think, go greater than a year if you're in a temporary situation. So that's how our administrative specialists support this program and start to manage this on our behalf during when we're not physically relocating the snow. And then here's a chart that shows the total pros snow assignments. That's the darker blue out to the left. So there's 311 assignments. This commission has seen a handful of presentations on that where we've got variety of assignments and priorities. So that shows the total. Out of those, 170 are highest priority. So those are the areas where we're going to immediately, when the equipment operators begin at 4 a.m. and then our hand shovelers begin at 6 a.m. Then there's a small 38 of those 311 are medium priority, kind of shows that variance there. Almost everything's high priority. And then 103 are our current courtesy burn relocation addresses. So still a significant amount of residents throughout city limits. That total, it's a large amount of burns to go relocate.
Can you explain what the courtesy removal is? What is that again?
We're removing the berm at the end of driveway.
Yeah, but as far as priority goes, I mean, that's it just says courtesy berm relocation.
103 residents.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, is that a lower priority than some of the others? Like,
They're not in the highest priorities.
Right.
When a snow event occurs, we go out and are hitting our highest priority locations. That roadway in the residential area has not been plowed yet.
right,
So the berm hasn't even been created yet. So that's why it's not a highest priority.
okay,
If it had, sure. We go hit it as soon as we can. Once we're done with our highest priorities, because we have an obligation to complete those, as this Public Works is working on arterials and collector roads before they're going into residential. roads. So again, it's kind of a high level communication, waiting until you can get in there and go do it effectively. This shows all 311 snow assignments, and I know that's like a fairly small image in a graph, graphs out to the left and the right, but the triangles are the courtesy routes, and the next image shows just courtesy. So we know really well our 311 assignments, and especially those 170 that are high priority that we just immediately start working away on. Each individual is assigned specific assignments and routes that are associated with specific equipment. What comes into play then is this piece here, where it's just the 100, currently 103. It's spread out. So at times we'll send 4 operators out and kind of work in the city limits in quadrants. On that, that usually becomes the easiest way to do that, or most effective way. Again, though, depending on how our partners are doing in public works with the residential roadway plowing. And sometimes we see higher snow events on the west side of town versus east side, or vice versa. So that can impact it too, or there might be a 3-inch storm on the west side and an 8-inch on the east side. So we're gonna have those berms will be definitely created on the east side. So it just kind of depends. But that always gives a lot of people a better visual of, holy cow, that's hard to go out and just magically go do when you're driving around city limits like that in medium to small pieces of equipment in a snowstorm. That's the courtesy burn part, and I can dive in briefly into the snow hero part, but are there any other questions on just the courtesy berm relocation portion of this?
How much staff is generally attributed to that? I mean, is assigned to that? You said 4 crews go out. Is that?
No, 4 individuals will go out and do courtesy berm relocation once all of the high priority assignments are done.
Okay,
Maximum, there's only 4 pieces of equipment that are best to go use for that too.
how many people are going out when you're doing
The snow operation,
yeah,
there,
well, like the courtesy associated with the courtesy berm relocation? Is it just 4, or are they doing the high priority ones?
and it's all hands on deck. Every single parks individual has an assignment, and when it's a snow event, you go do your assignment.
Okay,
You don't stop till you're done. And then high priorities are done, then we can go into courtesy berm, which usually coordinates well with public works being done with their high priority arterial road, main roads. Then they're gonna go into residential, which again creates the berm for us to go relocate.
right, okay.
But a lot of times we're hitting medium priorities and touching up on high priorities while that courtesy is occurring too. So we take 4 individuals out of 28 to 30 and put them on that assignment.
And you mentioned, this was kind of in my head, was a lot of times the plows haven't come by yet. So that those berms haven't been created. So are you waiting like a period of time so that you know that they come by and plow?
That's that high level communication with Public Works
Okay,
that performs the roadway plowing.
okay,
Once we find out from them they've been in the country club neighborhood, then we know the berms have been created. And also, we're not into wasting windshield time. We're not gonna drive around and go, look, they hit this neighborhood.
Right.
It's much easier to pick up the phone or radio and talk with them about it. Any questions on the courtesy berm part of these 2 programs? So cruise through the Snow Hero program. Again, that's sustainability offices, so not pros. This will be season 2 of a Snow Hero program. It's to complement existing programs like courtesy berm relocation and any other initiatives. And the main goal of Snow Heroes is to connect neighbors with neighbors. And increase, obviously the goal of it is to increase neighborhood mobility. Folks need to be able to get around. And And there's some, obviously internal collaborations, one of which is between pros and sustainability on it. So Stephen Thompson went through how you become a snow hero and how you will request a snow hero if you need to. Similar criteria, must live within city limits. A little bit different than the courtesy berm program that I want to identify, because for snow hero must be the age of 62 and older or have physical disability. So even for some of our seniors in our community, the Snow Hero program is available if there's someone to service that area. And then sign up, there's a form to sign up on that. And then to be a Snow Hero, you must be at least 18 years or older with the approval of a guardian, provide your own snow removal equipment, so shovels, hats, gloves, whatever, and transportation to get there, snow thrower, you name it, and be able to honestly assist within 48 hours of the snowfall. Here was some data that sustainability offered about how their program was last season, which was their first year, their pilot year, and some of the quotes that came from some of the individuals that received the Snow Hero program. Year two, ideally, they would like to expand the eligibility. They'd love to increase the outreach and integrate with other operations if possible, and continue to increase the communication with us. So what we focused on last year is we had these, let's just use the number 103 because that's how many addresses we have right now on Courtesy Berm. So I provided those addresses to sustainability for their program, and anywhere that has an adjacent sidewalk to that driveway, into the driveway we're relocating, they're gonna need help. If they can't do their berm, they can't do their sidewalk kind of thing. And I wanna say out of, say that 100 plus addresses, about 75% of them had an adjacent sidewalk, because there aren't sidewalks in every single neighborhood. We all know that. So that was a real quick way to get a list of individuals that already met the courtesy berm criteria. So they certainly would meet the Snow Hero criteria, and then try to find volunteers within those neighborhoods to go and help out their neighbors. So that was really a part of the big success on that last season, and that will occur this season again. Just some more information on the Snow Hero program. And then we did a recap of the programs where berms, our pros, staff. Again, we're just relocating that snow berm that's created in the right of way at the end of the driveway. Occurs after plowing operations are complete. In the criteria, and then Snow Heroes is about neighbors helping neighbors. So it's not necessarily, it's not a program that city staff are going out and doing, and still technically working in the right of way, because sidewalk would still be considered right of way, because again, we're not going on individuals' private property. And then some of the requirements, and the pro service happens no matter what for those that have signed up. And I think a key with the Snow Hero is it's a service that depends on volunteer availability. So there's no guarantee even for individuals that are like, yes, I need Snow Heroes, please, at my house. So that
What I was
depends on,
gonna ask is, how do you facilitate that link up between the people in need and the heroes themselves?
that's where sustainability, that's what they do on this part of it. So they're linking up those volunteers with the households in need of this service. So yeah, and then just some contacts on that. So again, we have our form, emails come into our pros inquiry email address, and then the main phone number here for all of pros, and then the Snow Hero contact information too. So Councilmember Garcia's main question was about like, so when does this, how do you know, when does this happen? And Gino was able to easily articulate roadway needs to be clear before pro staff come in and do this. Burn needs to be created for it to be moved. So yeah, that was his main question. And then as usual, folks were loving the plow names. And he was asking if we could get some more plow names, and we might have some surprises later this season.
Do you do that? Do you do that annually? Rename the plows or just actually?
Do a rename. It was quite the effort to do the original naming. I think it was our largest media interaction with the public that we've ever had. It was pretty hilarious. But we did have some additional plows that we could name, so believe some have been named. They're a really nice, sticker, a little bit greater than a sticker. Now we've painted it on. So we've tried stickering and we knew that wouldn't last for years. And so now the plows have been painted with this name.
Scoop dog.
There's Scoop Dog out there. Yeah, there is. So it's fairly semi-permanent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the program on that. Just wanted to make sure that commissioners were aware of it, especially with city council being aware of it.
That's a lot on top of all you do to maintain all the other snow areas that you have to maintain.
It's a lot. I want to say last season, the courtesy berm quantity list was just under 200. And so this is that, again, those connections that Annie and Kathy with our administrative staff are making in the late summer, fall, you'll see that variance. And then we usually see it bump up that first large snowfall. A lot more individuals may call in and realize the program's there, or maybe just moved here, who knows?
Well, last season was crazy too. I think I saw in the highlights that were in the newsletter that, what did you have, 61 inches last January? Oh,
Just in the month of January, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was a good presentation to provide to city council, so super helpful. Especially with new members. And I'm sure it might be new to both Commissioner Frazier and Christensen too, so by all means, ask questions if none of that made sense. That was just presented.
No, I think that made sense. I think we briefly talked about it earlier in one of the sessions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
cool.
Very good.
Going to stuff.
Hopefully.
I did my best snow dance down there Tuesday night too. We need some snow.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. So, very good. What do we have next? Item number C, review of current 5-year capital plan, discussion, recap, information.
Okay, what, do you want me to share the current 5-year plan, Rebecca? On this?
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't spend too much time on it because this is gonna be the main topic at your February meeting, but commissioners, I think, wanted just updates on what's in this year's budget. Right, I'm not sure exactly what you all were requesting when you requested this last.
I don't know who requested it.
You did.
I did.
Mhm.
And it might have been
And I
in
think
preparation for a
Possibly in
combo.
preparation. for
I think
that.
that's all. I think what I was asking was that we just discuss what we want to
So that's
discuss.
too, but you also requested,
Yeah.
I think just so no surprises, so yeah, just. I would go over the current
Sure.
5-year plan,
Yeah, I wasn't looking for an in-depth.
or at
of
least list
anything.
of
Okay.
projects.
Let me get that
Didn't
open.
mean to like put you on the spot, but yeah, I
I
was
get,
trying.
it's been too much, you know, I'm getting old, I can't remember.
It's been a hot minute since the last time we met.
I'm gonna pull one up and we're gonna have some fun with it. Okay, give me a second here. Virtual world and in-person world. Okay. And it's really tiny font,
So
so.
we were purposely showing the commissioners.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, it seems so bizarre. It's okay. So we'll go through some of these 5-year capital items. Let me keep making that a little bit larger for us. So the first item, the program, so meaning what department for us is parks. The project are the sport courts at Bushmaster Park. And you'll see some dollars in a couple of fiscal years, so I do want to explain. So what is listed between what's been expended already when this report was printed, the 67,000 and change. And then what is listed in this estimate for right now, the city is in fiscal year 24-25. That totals the $920,000 and change that we've been playing around with for a couple years now on these sport courts. Then you'll see another figure here, the $979,358. We are adding that to the 920,000, so it gets us $1.9 million for that large capital project. Because again, that's brand new tennis courts, brand new basketball courts, and brand new pickleball courts. All of that is in that project, designed currently in that project. So that's that large BBB rec capital item. So we've been able to add funding to it. I want the commissioners to know.
What was the original budget for the?
$920,646.
So you added almost doubled that, or more than doubled that.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And we got that from BBB. So
Yes.
that's like a good thing, that we have all this extra money to like do cool stuff.
2 thumbs up.
Cool.
Yeah. Just wanted to show that that has been increased in preparation for this. The second item down there that's in the darker gray shading is again for the parks department or our park section, and that's Westside Park. And I know we've talked about that project here a few times at commission. So that just shows the total dollars on that, in what will be, again, there's been a little bit expended on it, and that's to date when this report was printed versus also what it's budgeted for. So it's 1.51 million for that entire project. So that includes design, construction, completion. We did not add any funds to that project, nor were there any to add to that project, but that is also a large one. Again, with BBB rec dollars on that large capital project for that brand new park. Then the third item in this list is again, for the parks section, it's the Heritage Square restrooms for 250,000. Almost 2.5 years ago, when the commission went through the prioritization exercise, one of the top 5 items was to do something with the restrooms that are downtown off Heritage Square. They're in an alley and technically located within the Hopi Trust building. So that project's still there, still exists. It's gone every direction you can imagine, and it's back to how do we remodel and revamp the existing restrooms that are off that alley to mitigate unwanted behaviors, make them safer, and keep them cleaner in some way. So that project still exists to be aware of. Nothing's changed on the funding on that one either, and nothing's been expended on it besides staff hours. Next one in the darker gray, again for the parks section, is the Ponderosa Park reconstruction. That is a park in Sunnyside that was, unfortunately, a portion of it was destroyed in the museum flooding as part of the museum fire. And so that one's, it's been sitting there, it's been circulating, it's been waiting. There's a lot of stormwater improvements that occur at that point, including upstream up through Grandview. So once those are complete, that's when the park reconstruction can occur. So we still have been waiting on that, but it's funded. And so I think it's good for everyone to know that that is funded. That again, and we've been working with the Sunnyside Neighborhood Association, meeting Rebecca and engineering consultant have been meeting with the association at least once a quarter, if not more frequently, if information comes up, to keep that group engaged. Because once we have the green light to actually rebuild the park, we'll want to perform outreach and work with the community on that.
Was there a time frame for that? at this point?
There is, it's bounced around. I think our best guess is maybe, gosh, 15 months from now, we might be in
Yeah,
there.
they're planning now on, for this area, well, they plan on completing the full suite of projects by the end of next constructions, by the end of 2025 construction season.
Are they kind of working north to south or?
They're trying, yes.
Yeah.
So this part, with the park being at the southern end, is gonna be one of the last projects, so probably fall
Yeah,
25, so this year. Which as soon as we're pretty sure that's gonna go, we'll start working with the neighborhood. That gives us the winter to work with the neighborhood and then get whatever procurement and contract stuff in place to hopefully be able to construct in the summer of 2026. And hopefully all that's happening with the stormwater projects in 26 is a neat wrap up.
Yep.
Needed.
Yeah, that will be a wonderful project to bring back. Next up, we have our recreation section where this was also high importance to the commission when we did a prioritization exercise. That is to add HVAC or create conditioned airspace inside the gymnasium at Hal Jensen Rec Center. Some of the other rooms or areas at the rec center does have air conditioning, but the gym does not. As to the original dollar amount, I think just one thing just to be aware of as commissioners, the original dollar amount was 100,000. We had an opportunity to bump it up by 50,000, so we did. Reached out to an on-call architecture firm with the city that also has a mechanical division. And we have a meeting, I believe tomorrow, Tyrone, I think with the, to start scoping the project and start getting this, do some exploratory at the rec center and start getting it designed. Then we'll have a set of mechanical prints to bid out to those HVAC contractors in and around town and see what happens and hopefully get some AC inside the gym. If not some other parts, I believe the racquetball courts and the fitness space also do not have air conditioning. So it'd be nice if we could definitely get it all designed, whatever we need at the facility, and then install as much as we can with the funding that we have. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed we get it all. Another item funded is the Indigenous Community Cultural Center at Thorpe Park. So that's $200,000. It had not been programmed on what to use for, but it's for the future Indigenous Community Cultural Center. It could be a variety of things. Who knows? It could be further mitigation or cleanup at the site. It could be used to create construction drawings for the future Indigenous Community Cultural Center. It could be used for a lot of things. It so far has been sitting there this fiscal year untouched because we need to figure out how we want to do it. On January 24th, so in about a week and a half, there is a statement of qualifications that is due, and that is where the city of Flagstaff is attempting to find the Indigenous partner to work with the city on the future Indigenous Community Cultural Center. And I put that partner, I think, together with city staff will help figure out how to program that $200,000 and where do we head with it next kind of thing.
That number isn't what, there's separate from what you spent today, like on the Thorpe Park Annex or the remediation side of that.
Yeah, yes, this is a separate $200,000. And there was a couple years ago, $100,000. That is maybe spent down 70%, so roughly like 70,000 of it. We've done mitigation on site. We have done IT infrastructure changes because all of the fiber optic lines went to the Indigenous Center and then over to sustainability offices and then way across the pond to the park shop. So we've done some of that work. We've put up a new microwave tower up on Eldon to help out with that. We had the perimeter fence removed and around from the property, park property. A handful of other things, and right now getting ready to work on, private utility location, because we know where the mains are as far as water and sewer and reclaimed. We don't know where private service lines are from the former buildings being demoed. And then also those dry utilities, so underground, electric, although I believe all of it's overhead there, gas, cabling, anything else. We want all that marked and identified, so utilizing some of that previous 100,000 for that. So again, this 200,000 stays until our Indigenous partner at the table, which will be really exciting. This next one is out there at year 6, so we're not gonna talk about it. Sorry, online to give you a headache. So we're gonna talk about this next one in the darker gray shading. It's for the park section. It's the Cheshire Park expansion. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but maybe not so much for a couple of our newer commissioners. That is $1.5 million. It used to be 1 million. We were able to bump it up to 1.5. Seemed like a smart thing to do. That there is roughly 8-ish acres at Cheshire Park. That is to the kind of north and east there of the existing neighborhood park, and that has been identified for a running track with a multi-purpose field in the center. And we'll probably trigger a handful of other things, which is why we wanted to increase the dollar amount to 1.5 million. Probably have a need for a permanent restroom. When you start to add amenities like a running track and a large multi-purpose field, we may have some roadway or turn lane considerations, or certainly parking considerations when you have a multi-purpose field with a lot of programming that will occur on it. So again, it used to be 1 million flat, now it's 1.5 million. And that is for next fiscal year, so starting July 1st in a little bit less than 6 months. Pretty exciting stuff. Right below it is also for the park section, that's Continental Park expansion. So Continental Park is on the east side of town. It's a large regional park. What exists today are 5 little league fields or baseball and softball fields. There's an additional 84 acres as the park heads to the north, all the way up to I-40 from where it is off Old Walnut Canyon. So you'll see it's 1.5 million spread over 2 fiscal years, so a total of 3 million. So not this coming July, but a year, so in a year and a half, this funding begins, and that 3 million was primarily to start full design of the 84 acres, all of it. What can we get like full construction drawings of those 84 acres done? That way then there's drawings sitting there waiting for when funding occurs to actually construct it or develop it. Yeah, it'd be really nice to do, and 84 acres is quite a bit.
It is a lot.
Yeah,
And that's more than just the softball complex that's been talked about for decades.
that is more than that, yeah. So question will be for staff at that time is, do you design all of it? Do you design just the girls softball complex and possibly start on some construction activities? Who knows what grants would be available? There could be a lot of options, so definitely for design, but who knows if it's design plus something else. Now, gonna go to page 2, and that starts open space items. So I wasn't gonna dive into open space, if that's okay.
You just repeat yourself next month.
Yeah.
Sure will. So that takes us out for the next 5 years. So I mean, some smaller projects right now, and then there's some really bigger, larger dollar items, intent for sure in that 5-year capital plan. I think that'll be good to be thinking about, and I could always even write up a summary for all commissioners for our combo meeting next month with open space. So you know exactly what we have for Parks and Recreation and a 5-year plan coming up, if that'd be helpful. Which may lend us to figuring out the next item, because we may toggle back and forth on that. In the agenda.
Does anyone have any questions regarding this presentation? So raise your hand. If not, we're good to move on.
No, no questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, well, then that probably leads us into the final discussion item, goals for 2025.
I think before you do that, was there anything that you wanted to make sure you discuss at the next meeting? With open space?
I'm kind of relying on you guys to help us out with that to some degree. It's like how, now that open space is, you know, part of parks, it's pros now. And we've given them some funding. So I think it's, how does that all work
They
out?
have funding within the BBB recreation allocation.
Right.
Just keep working on our phrasing.
Yeah,
So my plan next month is, because this will be the first time that the Open Space Commission sees a 5-year plan in a way that relates to their work. So I plan on starting that conversation with what is a 5-year plan, and show that awful spreadsheet that's got the revenues at the top, the expenditures at the bottom, the fund balance, like how it all works, what our policies are related to fund balance. And then we can go through the projects, much like Amy did here. We'll probably go very quickly. I'm thinking through the Parks and Rec ones, and then spend a little more time on the open space and explain how we got to the dollar amount that we did and how their priorities fed into the projects, just like yours did, that fed into the projects that we have here. So there will be a good amount of education for them just for the first time.
Yeah.
And then the conversation about funding and how much each group gets. I mean, we've, based on both commissions' priorities, we have allocated all of the available funding within the BBB rec. At least that's our plan. We're hoping that you all approve it, but this is what you're seeing is what we're entering into our budget. And will be considered by both the city manager's budget team and then council. So, and it plans that funding out for the 5 to 10 year future. Now, as Amy just demonstrated, there's certainly room for fluctuations, and especially in the out years, we can move things forward and back. We can add money, we can reduce funds if we need to. But that'll be the conversation. I'm guessing a lot of questions. Open space commissioners talk a lot more than you guys do. Just gonna put that there. And so I'm guessing that they'll have a lot of questions that we'll work through. And I encourage you all, with your experience with the BBB recreation and how it's allowed you to have projects that are getting done now. I encourage you to chime in and share your experience with that as related to whatever comes up. So that would probably be a 30 to 45 minute conversation. And then I think we have also invited another staff presentation there might be a Foots presentation, because that's certainly an area of intersection with both commissions, and then possibly a zoning conversation with our current zoning manager. Again, focusing on areas of this overlap to take advantage of your time together. So that's my plan. For me, the importance of the joint meeting is that review and approval of the budget. Because that is in each commission's charge in the city code. It talks about how you're supposed to review and approve the budget for the BBB recreation funds.
Because they're just getting a portion of what Parks and Rec is.
Yeah, I mean, just like recreation has a portion, parks has a portion, open space has a portion, deferred maintenance has a portion, and playground replacement has its own ongoing line item.
And any shared, any overlaps in what they do versus what we do, or.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of working together, maybe not so much on the parks projects, but on the open space projects, you'll see there are foots in there, there are rehabilitating foots and other trails, like there's a lot of work together, there's signage that we'll need to coordinate. So yeah.
Anyone else have any comments or questions they'd like to ask at this time? Okay, all right, well, if not, then we can move on to the final discussion item, that goals for 2025.
Yeah, I think we put that in there. It was mentioned in our last meeting in November, in case there's any goals or anything of the commission for this upcoming calendar year. That's where it was ideal to look at that 5-year capital plan that's already identified, not many moving parts or pieces to that. Or dramatic changes, at least from a staff perspective, I wouldn't suggest changing.
No.
So are there other goals or other items?
I mean, just like, being here now for a while, like, it's cool that you guys been part of the conversation, watching it like tick off.
Right,
Be like, oh, it's,
and get created,
yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I'm feeling very like silent today, is because it's like, well,
it's happening.
it doesn't really seem like there's anything to add, because it feels like we're doing it. You guys are doing it and killing it. So,
Well, I think we also need to look even beyond that 5 years and start identifying things that might be pie in the sky, down the road, or start looking to what we need to address beyond, this current 5-year plan, and see how we're going to fund that. Maybe keep looking at the BBB projection,
Mhm.
and identify, when we were going through that whole priorities list, there were a lot more out there that we wanted to look
Yeah,
at.
27 items, I
Yeah.
think. So you bring up excellent point with that. So I'll pull up so this is a 10-year capital plan. It's gonna be hard to review without toggling back and forth, but at least have a good idea, so that, again, the 1.9 million is the sport courts at Bushmaster Park. 1.51 is Westside Park. 250,000 is that Heritage Square restroom. These are all items either right now or within the next 3 to 4 years. 1.5 million for Cheshire Park expansion, the 150,000 for HVAC at Hal Jensen. There's the 200,000 for the Indigenous Community Cultural Center. So here's our first one that's out beyond 5 years from now. So it's 2.5 million over 2 fiscal years for a total of 5. It is for that Thorpe Park expansion piece. Not the Indigenous Community Cultural Center, but everything else that is on that concept design, that's what that's for. I would assume however many years out from now, so 6 years from today, I hope 5 million gets all those other amenities, that's design of it, plus then construction and delivery of it for 5 million. So that's out there. So kind of knowing, thinking about that when we're thinking about that giant list, because at that time, I don't even think Thorpe Park was on that giant list. So maybe this triggers, do we go through another exercise? Maybe, who knows? Let's see what else is on this, because 5 million is a huge chunk of change. Then we have, so there's the 3 million, the 1.5 million over 2 years over here on the left of your screen for Continental Regional Park. And then 9 years from now, another 3 million, which hopefully would go toward true development of some of that 84 acres. And it's not going to get you all of it, right? But does it get you the girls softball complex or something? Maybe.
Yeah.
I wish that was up a heck of a lot closer, like yesterday. I think we all do, but yeah, so that's there. So know that we've got that built out in this 10-year plan. So there's 11 million right there in this 10-year plan.
Yeah, and understanding that with those funds allocated in those out years, it also allows us to work toward a ballot or a bond project. Because now we can show the council, like, okay, council, when you're thinking about stuff for the ballot, we've got funding, we're gonna need more. To do a girls softball complex, we're gonna need more than 3, most likely, for it to be a really good one. And maybe if we got a bond for even more than that, maybe we can do more of that area, you know, do some additional amenities, maybe an event space, maybe trails for open space. There's been interest in that. So that's the beauty of having this on a plan that a city manager and a council can start to see. It also allows us pre-planning for grants that we might go for, because that would be a good one to go for Land Water Conservation Fund, for example, which is a multi-year process. But if we could combine that with this funding being available helps theoretically get a ballot initiative approved. And then you combine that with a grant, we're sitting pretty.
Is there a possibility for 26? Like,
I don't want to promise it yet. We've got a brand new council, brand new couple of folks on council. We're just starting our budget retreats, or actually just our council retreats, getting them some orientation at the end of this month. And then February starts our budget retreats. I think we're just focused on onboarding them right now. I also don't think we have a lot of capacity available for bonding right now
because it's what
with what was approved in 24. And with the spruce wash, like that took up a lot of capacity, bond capacity. And the other projects, there was public safety improved as well, and housing.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
But this allows all of that. It allows our management services director who manages that bond capacity to start thinking about, and I can start talking with them about, like, when do we start paying off some existing bonds and when might we have some capacity again? Does that align with this year 9 of our 10-year plan? Can we start working towards that?
Yeah.
And if we have a design, that's the brilliant part of Amy's plan, to have design first, is all of it just makes a voter initiative and a grant all the more successful, most likely.
Usually more appetizing if you can see something and be like, ooh, if I vote in favor of this, this is what it,
Because there's proof that it's actually going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, effective.
Yeah, you're not asking voters to take a leap of faith that the design will end up being what they voted for.
yeah. So, yeah, 10-year snapshot is a lot smaller than current.
So I guess our goal would just be to support that 10-year plan as a commission and then work to see how we improve it and work towards getting it completed. So
Yeah,
it's really my goal as chair, so.
How do we
Yeah.
check off those Heritage Square bathrooms? If those keep like a, I imagine there's all sorts of headaches with that one.
there's all sorts of headaches with that one. So that one, Commissioner Frazier literally went all over the place. It started as close the current, it's 2 units, those restrooms with 2 separate doors. It was close them down and place out somewhere on the square, on Heritage Square, what's called the Portland Loo. It's like a glorified Airstream, right? Bathroom kind of thing. That quickly then moved over to, nope, you're not putting that here. Where else can you put a public restroom? So we took a look at over by, if anyone's familiar with, it's a private alley space in front of Flag Brew. But then there are some odd perpendicular parking spaces by some dumpsters there. So we looked at that. Was that a potential location again for this glorified Airstream, the Portland Loo? That was a hard no by business owners. So a lot of communication and outreach was occurring with business owners, with the Downtown Business Alliance and city leadership. So then it came all the way back to, all right, pros, figure out how to just revamp these things and make them work. So I first took a look at how could we remodel the inside of someone else's building, because the city does not own that building, to where you access those restrooms from the inside. And it's unfortunately not possible with some of the other, the way that just the way where they're located in the building. So now we're back to, they would still have exterior access there off the alley. But how do we remodel these things to not have separate doors that you can walk into, lock the door and hang out in there for hours at a time if you honestly wanted to? So trying to figure that out, but it's really weird and sensitive because the city of Flagstaff does not own that building. So to go and do construction on someone else's building, it is gonna take time. There's a lot of hoops and agreements and what have you to follow on that. It's a really odd one. And so working on it, trying to figure out what we could do and what the owners of the building would be willing to accept also.
It's too bad you can't just take the doors off and clear it out and then put in like one of those standalone little self-washing restrooms that they have in like New York City and all.
Yeah, thought about that. So downtown business owners, valid point, it was cannot remove 2 and replace with 1. They're like, that's not fair. That's pretty valid, right? So it's still, how do you take away how the 2 are currently designed and still get 2 units in there? One thing I was thinking, and I have it actually drawn on a piece of paper because that can be very visual, but when you look at just a rectangle and picture 2 separate restroom units, if you did rip out the doors and everything and make them just partitions, like when you go into a restroom with multiple restrooms,
Mhm.
and maybe that front wall that you encounter is just like a wall with hand wash stations. So you go around, go to the back, use the bathroom, and you're coming out right away so that it's not all enclosed. And is that somehow even just like New York City style? Is that just the chain that comes down, the locking storefront to it? So it's not doors. It doesn't create a significant amount of privacy, which usually creates the unwanted behavior. If it's truly just to be used as a restroom, maybe that will change. There was an individual last winter season literally living in the wall, had cut a hole in the wall and had sealed it up and was living inside a wall space. So inside the building,
Yeah.
essentially. Yes, we gotta figure out a way. I mean, everything you can think of occurs and we're trying to find ways. So how do you remodel it so that it's still safe for all weather climates that we get here? But mitigates those behaviors and is used for its purpose as a restroom. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Also, there's a state statute regarding any since 2021, any public restroom must have an adult changing area. So that is a requirement. So that also needs to be considered with any reconstruction on something like this, because I would assume trigger it, although it's not new, but I would assume any remodeling would trigger that state statute. So to figure that out too. And it needs to be accessible and have the 5-foot turnaround and everything else that comes with a bathroom.
Maybe instead of the pocket park, we should have done it for a little over on Aspen there.
Instead of the bicycle parking. Maybe.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so yeah, I would love to see this 200, also, it's not a goal to keep these fund balances from a staff perspective. When you're provided the funds, you wanna expend them, you wanna use them for the projects they've been identified for. This one has been a struggle, I'd love to see that 250,000 in that project be done. And a nice newer, cleaner bathroom that the public would use downtown too. Just for reference, there's not a public restroom. There's one at the visitor center, more in coordination with Amtrak, so south of the tracks. And then otherwise, there's one at the downtown library, pretty far away from downtown. There's not technically another public restroom at all in the downtown area. The Downtown Connection Center, south of the tracks with Mountain Line, I believe will have some type of public restroom accessed from the exterior. But again, so south of the tracks and over toward Milton versus in the heart of downtown.
Interesting.
Yeah, that one is.
Issues that the public restrooms at the library will be having.
What was that? Can you repeat that?
So I made the mistake of using the library bathroom like a month or two ago and promptly left because it was really, I don't know, there were like people living in there.
Yeah.
And so is that something that you're anticipating? I didn't even know there was a bathroom at Heritage Square. Is that the park's responsibility, or is it just our responsibility to build it and then other people deal with it?
So these restrooms, and I can show a map of them if that helps, even just for vicinity. They are managed and maintained by pro staff, these two restrooms in the alley off Heritage Square.
Across from the creek.
And you're right, Commissioner Christensen. Yeah, what you experienced in the restrooms at the downtown library is exactly what can occur at these restrooms too.
Oh man, it's too bad we can't do the self-cleaning one like like the chair was saying.
Yeah, yes, because I mean, even if you clean them multiple times a day, as soon as they're used incorrectly, they become that, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and show on a map where these are, just so if everyone is familiar with Uptown Billiards. Yeah, I haven't been able to get it shared yet.
Yeah,
Like your mouse was starting.
Sharing everything. Let me zoom in here. So this is Uptown Billiards on your left. This is the Hopi Trust Building on your right, the brick building. And you'll see right there, there's a brown sign that says Heritage, and then it gets real blurry. That's the kind of alcove, if you will. So there are 2 restroom units in there, each with their own individual door to go into. That is where they are. So literally in an alley, what that is used for mobility around town. The restaurants and businesses accept deliveries there, and then there are 2 restrooms there.
That's good planning.
Do you think if they were anywhere near the federal building that would deter that type of behavior, or do they just not care?
I don't think that matters. You know, when the federal access point is being used there, the gates come across, they're locked. And that's what's occurring adjacent to this, around the corner there, to the left of the view of those dumpsters. So the federal building's not there to enforce or mitigate any other behaviors.
But also, we tried to, as Amy mentioned, we proposed several locations, including down near these dumpsters, just to get them more out in the open. And the downtown businesses and their organization, their board, were very much against it. So we proposed a few other locations. We're back at square one.
Yeah, what a conundrum. That's such a nice amenity to the public, and it's just ruined.
Yes, I'm really hoping some type of innovative redesign with, again, access point still from the exterior, since we couldn't go inside the building, helps somehow, so that they're not so privatized or easy to lock yourself inside or something. The cleanliness will always be a problem. We experience that in all of our permanent restrooms, even in our park grounds, cleanliness can always be an issue. No, it's good to talk through these though, especially since a lot of commissioners were not here when we went through this exercise or any of the ups and downs with it.
So that'll be another goal for 2025, is resolve this issue.
Okay.
So we can spend the money.
Done.
Figure it out.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Anyone else have anything they want to add to the goals for 2025 that you can think of? Any other commissioners care to weigh in?
So in terms of goals that the commission could have, I mean, we've got a couple of new members. We could take some tours if you'd like to get more familiar with spaces. We could move our meetings around. We could meet at, say, the 4 rec centers over the course of the next 12 months, like just to get you more familiar with our operations. We offer ride-alongs, we offer tours. Like, is the commission interested in anything? We can do walking meetings where we meet at a park or a future park. And we can conduct a meeting in that way. Is there interest in that?
I think this would be, certainly.
I would
And all the-
love that.
In all the years that I've been here, we haven't had, because I started during COVID, we haven't really had a chance to do some of this stuff. So, yeah. Yes, please.
I think that'd be fun, especially like as we develop the West Side Park and get those plans and maybe take trips like that.
The Cheshire expansion, such a large capital project too.
And even,
And go to Bushmaster
yeah,
and see all the fun with the sport court.
Yeah, I would love that.
So maybe
I
in
think those
the
are, yeah, great ideas. I've had a lot of travel for work recently. That's why I've had to call in remote, but I think those are great ideas. Tangible, you know?
And I'd like to see the rec centers. Those would be interesting. Do they have meeting spaces available? Maybe if we had meetings there every once in a while?
We could, yeah.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think it'd be great some of the other rec centers.
Would those be separate from the commission meeting?
Yeah, we could make it your commission meeting,
Mhm.
including even in the field. Open Space has taken walking tours, and they do the same thing. I mean, you can't have a hybrid component.
Right.
So it would have to be in person, and we would just put that on the agenda, that this meeting will be in person only and meet at this location.
But you
And
still
you
have to
go through,
record.
like you open the meeting, you take roll call, you approve minutes, then you go do your tour or hike or whatever discussion we're planning on that day. But even, if meeting at the other recreation centers, that would be just like this. You won't have the TVs. But,
I didn't realize that was an option, so I think we should do that. I'm big fan, big fan.
Yeah.
Cool, we can make that happen. No one wants to go out on a snow operation though, huh? No one wants to go do courtesy burn relocation.
that is available.
Wait, hold on.
After the last couple of years, I think I did enough snow operation.
We can talk after.
Right.
I'd be interested.
So just not to confuse anyone, the February meeting will be here,
Yeah,
but then we can start looking at
I'll start mapping it out.
other options. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, especially as the weather turns. Cool, that'd be fun. Alright. I don't think we'll have anything from Councilmember Harris on number 7.
No, she's not. The council, I didn't even really pay attention to that. Like, they didn't know.
It's the most important one.
Yeah, so we don't have a council liaison report today, so we'll move on to just the reports and monthly highlights of parks and recreation, open space and events for both November and December. Looked at those were interesting. Got a review of the whole year. Trail counts for the whole year were interesting.
Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot.
60,000, nearly 60,000 for the Buffalo Park loop. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot of use. Yeah,
Have you had any feedback on the new exercise stations and things of that nature?
quite a bit. Just last week, Haley and I were emailed from an individual with adaptive sports that took a group out to go use the equipment. Yeah, a lot of positive feedback. Yeah,
The trail surface is holding up well, it looks like, so
yeah.
I like the new signage up there too.
The mile marker signage and whatnot, yeah, and that matches our foot signage.
Yeah. I saw you replacing the signs as part of the newsletter too. You had the sign replacement over at Thorpe
Mhm.
to metal signs. All that.
Yeah, so all 6 signs were done in the Thorpe regional area, including Josie Montoya Senior and Community Center. That one was done too. That's within the Thorpe Regional Park. I believe the parks team is gonna focus on some east side park locations and redoing that sign. I've had a special request to redo the 2 signs here at the Aquaplex. So it's definitely the entry kiosk or marquee signage for all of our parks and recreation locations. The Cleo Murdoch Neighborhood Park also had the sign installed in October there too, so that matches.
Did they finish the landscape redo over there?
All landscaping is done. The last item at the Cleo Murdoch Neighborhood Park is the bicycle rack that's supposed to be installed this week.
It's looking good over there.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
And I don't know. Saw Touch a Truck, that's always a good event.
Yep. Huge. Touch a Truck is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of cool events and special programming at our 4 recreation centers throughout the year. Keep coming up, the team keeps coming up with more cool, neat stuff to do. And definitely some information and pivots from the survey that Tyrone and his team put out and have those details. Have really been diving into finding out what does the community want. Our outdoor spaces is a lot of times up to the community to do besides the athletic programming they would provide. And then our indoor spaces, Tyrone and his team have really been putting their kind of finger on the pulse and trying to figure out what can they do, what can they do differently, what can they do better.
Yeah,
all
so
of
the
that.
basketball camp that occurred, that looked interesting. You know, quite a few kids that came out for that too.
Mhm.
That was nice.
Yeah, there was a winter camp held this winter that was different and new. I think we could see some more of that occur too for all of our young families in town and yeah.
With recreational, specifically the aquaplex, I know a lot of people have asked me, their potential for Sundays opening, is that a thing in 2025 or no? I'm just
Thank you, Tyrone.
I'm just communicating what people have said to me. And I was like, "Oh, that's not-"
So that was one of the things that came out of the survey. We did have a lot of people with that request and really wanting the Aquaplex to be open on Sundays. And so we're going to look to get together as leadership and really look at it and see. The current supervisor here at the Aquaplex is on board with that idea and really wants to be able to provide that service to the public. And so we will be discussing it further and then looking to potentially bring Sundays back on board.
I'll let them know. Say no promises.
No
promise. I
promises.
did get a progress. They keep bugging me about it. I'm like, I don't know.
And for the other commissioners, I don't know if you look at the reports, but I highly encourage you to do so and then be able to speak to them. So there's a lot of good information in those, so I appreciate you putting those together.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of stuff on all of our signature events, athletics, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what open space is doing as well.
yeah, includes open space. So yeah, good idea to review those, especially before our combination collaborative meeting next month, because it can give you an idea of what's occurred with open space over the last year.
Great. Well, if no one has any other comments in regards to that, I don't see any hands up, so we'll go on to information items to and from commissioners and staff. So I don't have anything in particular.
In my accidental email that I sent out to everyone. Sorry about that. I'll make sure my phone doesn't do that again. Mark Cox also jokingly responded to my email and was like, hey, hope you're doing good. We should talk because I'd love to get the Boys and Girls Club. Like, he said he wanted to talk something Boys and Girls Club and commission. So he and I were he wanted to talk to me about it, and I figured I would bring that forward to everyone here. And eventually, some point this year,
Okay.
Mark would like to come do something, present something, or say something.
They'll keep us informed so we can add it to the agenda.
Yeah.
Appropriate time.
Yep. Yeah, I think Mark reached out to both Rebecca and I last week too.
Cool.
We both responded. So yeah, see what he's got.
Maybe he was like, wow. So sorry, something again.
No, all good. But yeah, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, hopefully we can get whenever he's ready, can get him on the agenda.
And then the only other thing I can think of is we were approached, a company was approached to provide a master plan. We didn't go after it for Northern Arizona Museum. So they're looking to do a whole new master plan. And so I don't know how that might somehow
Park.
impact Cheshire Park. But it's worth reaching out to them.
It is. So that is one of our tasks to do on that project, because I would love to contact the museum and ask if they have an interest in shared parking.
I was wondering about a land swap.
They want a land swap?
No,
I don't.
well, they have 2 acres that encroach into Cheshire Park.
They
and
do.
We have 1 acre. And City of Flagstaff has 1 acre
Mhm.
that encroaches into theirs. So both are kind of meaningless, but if you,
Not really, because I'm pretty certain our entry to our Cheshire Park expansion is on our 1 acre that abuts that parking lot.
it's not gonna make it easier to do the track, but
What are
Yeah.
they wanting to do? The museum.
They're just are looking to do a master plan so that they can improve services and functionality, as well as look to the future for better event space and so on and so forth.
It's pretty cool. Have you guys been up to Lowell recently with the new center open?
Yes.
Yeah, great. News. So anyhow, that's all I had. Anyone else have
Um,
anything?
I
Yes,
had
go ahead.
one thing. Hi guys. One thing I ran into Jason Sabery. He presented the first meeting I was at, me and Neil were at, and he wanted the art wall.
Yes.
So I followed up with him. I was just like, hey, did you wind up getting that grant? And he said that because of the change in location, the BIA grant folks decided he needs to apply for next cycle. So hopefully that's soon, but I'll keep up with him and see unless you have any more information, Amy.
That's the same information Jason provided to me too. And he reached
Okay.
out between the week of the Christmas and New Year's holidays, just to let me know that he's still working on some things. And he would like to, as he gets things additionally clarified and dialed in, he would love to come back to the commission just to give them an update too.
That's great.
Yeah.
And hopefully Commissioner or not Commissioner, Councilmember Garcia, he used to be on the beautification committee with me. So hopefully he can also get enthusiastic about Jason's project and help push that forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super exciting. And yeah, I'm glad that Jason's able to still keep a focus on this with that minor setback too.
Thank you, Commissioner. Oh, very good. So moving along, I guess agenda items for next meeting, which will be our combined meeting with open space. So I
I
think,
don't think you need to talk about February, but you might talk about March.
okay. Not sure if I have any ideas right now for March, but
I think in March, there'll certainly be a sport court at Bushmaster Park update and a West Side Park update, without a doubt. Those two large capital projects. So I think we could definitely have those two in the meantime, and something may derive from our meeting with Open Space Commission, especially Foots Trail related, or anything with education and rec center related. So we'll see, or maybe we'll have some more, any of those changes that we implement based on the recreation survey. Maybe we have something on that too, like we were talking about with the Aquaplex.
Didn't you say that end of January? The HVAC at Hal Jensen was being observed, or like,
We're meeting tomorrow, Jerry Ronan and I, with the consultant to start kind of scoping the project.
maybe in March? There'll be
We
something
may
like
have
that.
something on that. Yeah, we might.
was there any movement to like with the cemetery? You were talking about doing an addition to the cemetery. Is there anything?
So staff asked for that budget request last year. It was not funded, but we'll be asking for it again because the need has not gone away.
Okay. All right, well, we'll think over the next month here about what we're to add to that agenda. Anyone else have anything they can think of to add to our March agenda? Anything that comes to mind? Thank you, commissioners, I appreciate that.
Sorry, I don't.
That's all right. Very good.
And for March, we'll try to not be here,
We don't know yet. Let's. Do
be
we,
somewhere.
do we want to propose being somewhere? Kind of depends on.
March may not be a good time to do that. It'll definitely be in some snow
Yeah,
Hopefully.
unless you were to meet at a recreation center or
unless we
something.
do a different recreation center.
We can confirm that.
Yeah.
when we meet next.
Cool.
All right.
Sounds good.
Well, everyone, I thank you for attending today, making sure we had quorum and another good meeting. So I appreciate it. And with that, we'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Good evening.
Everybody.